One thing after this talk tonight, I hope that you will do two things actually. I hope that you will be a 2-minute activist in whatever state you're from and find out who your state representative is and who your state senator is and give them a call in regard to some concerning legislation. I'll be talking about a lot of concerning legislation tonight from a Massachusetts point of view, but let me tell you, what's in Massachusetts is coming to a town near you. So please pay attention. And if I were to ask any of you, how many of us, by raising our hands, know the name of our representative for our district in our state? Does anyone know the name of your rep? All right, so we have probably about almost 5%, maybe not even 5% of us. So I say get educated on who your rep is, get educated on who your senator is, and give them a call. Because I'll tell you, I've been at the State House in Massachusetts, and they never get called by people on our side. Okay? So how can we expect to win the culture war if we're never communicating with our reps and our senators? Amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Also, I hope, stop that. And I hope also that you will consider picking up this book. This is the major tool that we put out at MFI. It's a curriculum that explains the concerning legislation at the State House as well as the concerning curriculum, especially the sex ed curriculum in your public school, that we are concerned about and we want to raise awareness about to people all over Massachusetts. Currently in Massachusetts, there's about 100 churches that have either taught this curriculum this year or are planning to teach it. And I'm telling you, if we can just get 50 churches in Massachusetts to get active, and I mean really active, we can win the culture war in Massachusetts. All right, so one example of what you can do, I'm going to show you. Mr. Pratt talked about the meme of the guy that had the CNN head. Well, my wife, Ashley, is a very talented spoken word artist. Has anyone heard of spoken word? No, okay, so this is like 2 generations removed maybe. But spoken word is like a poem put to kind of rap or kind of rapping a poem. Have you guys ever seen any of this stuff on YouTube or anything? All right, well, anyway, I'm going to show you a 3-minute video that got hundreds of thousands, about 200, 300,000 views online. It was very effective to getting out a message about engaging our culture. So just give this a second to come up.
Dear pop culture, dear pop sensation, I'm writing to you because your lies are so pervasive in this American generation. Because listening to your lies was once my brain's fixation. But for years now, I have had the realization that your lyrics are an utter fabrication. That you sing with the serpent's tongue over this nation like lullabies in a dream world destination, contorting and distorting people's imagination. And with your control and manipulation, we take in the sound waves that come through our radio station. When you call us a superstar, we call it inspiration. When you sing tolerance, we feel liberation. When you dance and flaunt your body in a provocative presentation, we accept it as entertainment without hesitation. You take the human body in all its beauty and creation and present it like scum, with unreserved humiliation, to a world obsessed with over-sexualization. You say free fall into temptation and act as if there is no harm in the sex game fixation. You say get drunk at a party and stir up the flirtation. Enjoy the lit up party scene saturation. Be who you are and express your orientation. The world is about you and your instant gratification. You sing I'm on the edge of glory with your own glorification. You fire up the feeling of victimization so that rebellion and revenge feel like the only justification. And you so conveniently offer every emotional accommodation. While we sit back and allow your perverted narration over our lives and let you control our destination, your lyrics are like cancer in need of radiation. I have watched as the youth cry out and worship you in adoration with a crazy, obsessive, unhealthy fascination. They look to you for confirmation and validation. Because in reality, they are yearning for a serious revelation from the depths of despair, depression, and frustration. But they are jumping and taking rest on a sandy foundation, because what you have to offer is nothing with any legitimate explanation about how the world works or true love clarification. What they need is an internal evaluation.
Yes.
Because truly they search for a God who offers a heart transformation. And while you can do nothing about their messed up situation, my Redeemer, named Jesus, offers redemption. So listen to me. This is a hurt people duplication, and you are only feeding them your puked up desperation, twisted into lyrics and rhymes in a Hollywood location. Here is my battle cry and declaration. With God on my side, I will stand against the desensitization. I'll stand in the gap and let irritation be my motivation. And though from where you're standing looks good from your calculations, my God uses different equations. He says we're all lost and in need of salvation. He's the author of true love, and there's no other replication.
Amen. Glory. Amen. All right. All right. I just all that's good. That's good. That's good.
She's something else, huh?
Oh, come on.
So,
That's good.
just an example of what you can do. You know, this just, my wife sat down for literally, I think it took her an hour to write that rhyme.
What?
And sometimes things just come to you.
Come on.
I was leading a music cafe at the time in Burlington, Massachusetts, and I asked my wife, I said, can you just put together some kind of spoken word? And it was like a week out, and just procrastination. And then the day came, and I go, do you have that spoken word ready? She says, oh, I totally forgot. So that afternoon, she just sat down and put it all together. So anyway, sometimes the Spirit just leads, and you got it on the tips of your tongue. So the mission at MFI is dedicated to strengthening the family and the Judeo-Christian values upon which the family is based. How many of you guys would agree that the family is under attack in today's culture?
Yes.
Everybody should be putting their hands up, right? And as society goes, would you agree with me? As the family goes, so goes society, correct?
Right.
If mom and dad stay together and we raise a traditional family on biblical principles, that will equal a healthy society. So MFI, there are 40 family policy alliances in the nation. MFI is in Massachusetts, of course, and then 40 other states have an advocate that will let you, the people, know what's going on in your public school and what's going on at your state house. And let me tell you, if you don't have an advocate, how many of us, I just asked you if you knew your rep or your senator, but how many of you know about any concerning legislation at your state house or even a concerning curriculum at your public school? I understand most of us, I understand most of us homeschool for good reason. However, if we're involved in the public schools, we have to be extremely vigilant. Now, someone gave a speak this week, I think it was Earl was talking about the hate list, okay, of, who was it on?
Southern Poverty Law.
Southern Poverty, yeah. So I was reading the list of names, and all the people that we work with were on that hate list. So Alliance Defending Freedom is a group of pro bono Christian attorneys. They actually have about a $50 million budget. They're a national organization, and they helped us actually sue the Attorney General in Massachusetts recently when it came to the bathroom bill. And I'll get more into this later because churches were considered public accommodations. So if a man that identified as a female came into your bathroom in your church, and let's say my daughter Daisy was in there using the facilities, and I was just concerned about her privacy, if I was discriminating, I could be fined up to $50,000 or sent to jail for up to a year for discrimination. So organizations like Alliance Defending Freedom are so important. 4 churches got up to bat in Massachusetts, sued the Attorney General. She dropped the case on December 14th, and now churches are no longer considered public accommodations in Massachusetts. without an advocate, I guarantee you, even the people in this room, that we are super engaged, with our families especially, we would not have known that. And someone could have got fined at your church for discrimination if there was no Family Policy Alliance. Family Research Council, this is headed up by Tony Perkins. I don't know how many people have heard of Tony Perkins or Family Research Council. Okay, so they do great work, national organization. Again, they're on that hate list. He was the guy that the guy tried to
Floyd somebody.
Yeah, come in and shoot people at the organization. So all great organizations, and you know that if people are trying to shoot you, you're doing the right thing. So there's three main areas where we concentrate: the sanctity of life, natural marriage, and religious liberty. Now I just gave you an example of the religious liberty with the win on the transgender bathroom bill. I want to start out tonight talking about pot, one of my favorite things to talk about. No, that's a joke. But just this week I was in Fitchburg and I was holding up this sign on Main Street. There was a parade and there were probably, 5,000 people coming down Main Street, and here I am just standing there with this sign and getting all kinds of reaction as you can imagine. And so two guys came up to me and gave me a signal with one of their fingers, which I thought was pretty inappropriate, and I didn't think they really wanted to engage in a conversation, but we did, and we talked about how marijuana can be very dangerous. We talked about we already had medical marijuana in Massachusetts in 2012. You could carry an ounce on you and not go to jail but be fined. So why in the world do we need recreational marijuana? Because it's just big tobacco becoming big marijuana. And I want to talk to you a little bit about it. Now look here, you see this? Everyone knows what this is, right? Reese's? And Almond Joy, you've seen these candies before. Okay, well this is how they market marijuana in chocolate. It's called hashies. Okay, and does it look just like Reese's?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ganja Joy looks just like Almond Joy. Okay, so please tell me that they are not marketing this to kids. Mm-hmm. They are. And they'll tell you all the time that no, minimum age 21, youth will never get their hands on this stuff. Well then why are you selling these, which are USBs with vapor sticks, so you can take them to school and hide them as USBs and go to the bathroom and use them at your pleasure? Okay, or even in brownies, or this looks like what? Kit Kat, right? It's called Mile High in Colorado, okay? But it looks just like a Kit Kat. And you can see there's gummy bears and other ways that they sell their product. Clearly they're going after the youth. And we understand clinically that the brain is not fully developed. Does anyone know when the brain is fully developed clinically? What age? Right here?
Around 21. Right?
Go a little higher, but good guess. Yes?
35?
No?
25.
25, okay? 25. So you know why sometimes teens, right, we don't always do the smartest thing, right? Well, it's probably because to some extent, clinically, our brains are not fully developed. That's not an excuse to do bad things. All right? You should know better. But we see by this chart too that here's some energy drinks that they put the THC in, and the 70s pot is not equal to today's pot. It's much more potent.
Right.
And what they can do with the THC levels, you can literally take a bite of a brownie and be completely stoned. Not that you should go do that. In Colorado, approximately 70% of Colorado municipalities have opted out of marijuana. Now, the marijuana industry got really smart after Colorado. So in Colorado, the state, as some of you probably know, voted for recreational marijuana. Okay, now in Colorado, you had to opt in when your state okayed it. Okay, in Massachusetts, many of you might know that we had question 4 last November that was approved by the state. Okay, 91 towns and cities voted against recreational marijuana, and the rest of the 351 towns and cities voted for it. Okay, now in Massachusetts, you have to opt out because you're automatically opted in with the vote of the state. So do you think that more towns and cities are gonna be having marijuana shops in their towns if they're automatically opted in? Because it's gonna take a lot of work to opt out, okay? So, in Colorado, you have about 25% of the municipalities that went through the rigoram of opting in, okay? And we see that just with that 25%, there's more pot shops in Colorado than there are McDonald's and Starbucks combined, okay? Imagine if 100% of those towns and cities opted in, you would have 3 or 4 times that amount. So it's very accurate to say that pot would be growing like weed or weeds in Colorado. All right, that pun is intended. Here's some here's some myths about marijuana, and maybe even you have heard of some of these. But I think you'll see a lot of similarities between how they marketed cigarettes back in the 40s and 50s, starting in the 40s and 50s, and now how they market marijuana. They'll say marijuana is an all-natural wellness product and herb. And herb sounds very nice, doesn't it? That is not harmful to you. Marijuana is a cure for any discomfort. I don't know if you remember when they were selling nicotine in cigarettes, that it would, what? Calm you down, right? Getting high is an acceptable recreation activity for youth. We just think it's a joke, right? It's not a big deal to get stoned. All Colorado's pot is now safe, tightly regulated, and can be used responsibly, and that's just not the case. There's a huge black market, and the amount of tax that they thought they were going to get, I think they taxed it at 32%. They are not realizing that full amount of tax, and much of that's because so much of the sale is done in cash. We see here from the New England Journal of Medicine, it's amazing to me when I was in Fitchburg earlier this week, so many people were saying that, you know, what are you so concerned about? This is not a dangerous drug. Well, then argue with the New England Journal of Medicine, who says that these are high risks, medium risks, and low risks, okay? So the high risk, addiction to marijuana and other substances. Have you heard that marijuana might be a gateway drug?
That's right.
Okay, so it's very addictive and it leads to other drugs. Another high one, diminished lifetime achievement. It dumbs you down, okay? Motor vehicle accidents, I'll show you a video on this straight out of Colorado. Symptoms of chronic bronchitis, and then interesting lung cancer. So that's low according to the New England Journal of Medicine. Now, like nicotine, what did cigarettes cause? Cancer, right? Cancer. We found that out decades later, and I'll tell you, the amount of ignorance to these right now, well, I'm sure we'll find out decades from now the dangers of pot, just like we did with cigarettes. Again, statistics don't lie. It is the youth that have the highest consumption of these kind of drugs. And then this is just a chart again that shows up at the top is Colorado, and these green lines are where recreational marijuana has been legalized, and then these red is where medical is the only thing that's legalized, and then this is no legalization. And you can see as you legalize the drug, it becomes much more used, and this is for ages 12 to 17, your age, that's taking the drug. What's the number one issue in the Colorado school system? Pot. Not bullying, not bad grades, not, problems that you'd rather have than this, but pot is the main issue. And then you'll hear some people say, oh, if we just legalize the drug, we'll get rid of it, or it won't be as bad, or not as many people will use it. Well, clearly, these are all hard drugs. And you can see as they're illegal, they're not as used as much. But once you legalize a drug, this is tobacco and alcohol. Once you legalize it, it is widespread. And the same thing's going to happen with pot if we don't do something. And we don't necessarily not just do it, we don't get involved in this not just for our families, but we get involved in this for our neighbor down the street who never going to see this kind of presentation. And if we care about our neighbor, we'll be concerned about opting out of marijuana, or if you live in another state that hasn't voted for this yet, that you will be active when this comes to your ballot. All right, so I'm just going to show you 2 quick videos. This first video is a minute long, and it just gives, I think, some really effective pictures on how pot was advertised, how cigarettes were marketed, and then we have the same kind of marketing going on with today's pot. So just give us a second to queue up.
Adventi presents a conversation starter. Then and Now carefully and intentionally condenses an enormous body of research and history into 11 short minutes. You'll see how big tobacco pioneered addiction marketing to compel a nation to smoke. You'll discover that today the marijuana industry is using all the same strategies to build a mass consumer base of lifetime users. You'll learn about the big money involved and how and why youth are the targets of the industry. Learn why communities, schools, and groups across the country are finding this video one of the most useful and compelling educational tools for marijuana prevention programming.
So it's just interesting to look at that advertising. Who was on the advertising? What vocation? Doctors, right? How'd they first sell pot in Massachusetts, as with any other state? Medical. You think medical marijuana is different from recreational marijuana? It's all marijuana, okay? But they fool you. All right, here's a 3-minute video in regard to some of the consequences of pot in Colorado.
Are coming in. In this update, we'll focus on Colorado DUI data, specifically traffic deaths. The media prints headlines such as, "Since marijuana legalization, highway fatalities in Colorado are at near historic lows." This is true, but deceptive. Deaths on Colorado highways have dropped, roughly 9% since 2006. But nationally, during this same time frame,
Hold on. Let's see if we can get this back. Hold on. Alright.
Adventi presents an update on during this same time frame, traffic fatalities are down 23%. This has been attributed to more seatbelt use, safer roads, cars with more safety features, and tougher laws for driving under the influence. So why is Colorado not seeing the same highway safety gains as the rest of the nation? The data suggests that Colorado's marijuana is much of the problem. In 2006, there were 37 deaths involving marijuana. By 2014, the number rose to 94, with significant jumps when marijuana became medical and recreational. In all, deaths are up 154%. Marijuana traffic deaths do not yet equal annual gun homicides in Colorado or alcohol traffic deaths, but at this pace, they will soon. Yet the media portrays the myth that pot has never killed anyone. Despite documented overdoses, this article states that nobody has ever been killed directly by marijuana use. The use of the word directly is interesting. DUI collisions are directly taking innocent people's lives. The Rocky Mountain High Impact Drug Trafficking Report lists the details of numerous bystanders and unsuspecting drivers killed by marijuana-impaired drivers. These include the deaths of a mother of 2 children, a 16-year-old, an 85-year-old woman. Marijuana proponents say DUIs involving marijuana are fewer than statistics indicate, because marijuana levels are measured through blood and urine tests, and marijuana lingers in the system, which may mean the driver was not impaired during the accident. Others say that marijuana causes even more DUIs than we know. For alcohol, police have breathalyzers. For marijuana, no reliable roadside test yet exists. The police nearly always test for alcohol and may write up a DUI as alcohol only, even when marijuana is present. What is clear from the data is that in Colorado, marijuana traffic deaths are rising rapidly.
Did you see 2 of the references there? One was the Washington Post, You think that's an accurate way to get your news? You know who the Washington Post is owned by?
Yeah, Bezos.
Yeah, by Bezos, who owns Amazon. And the other one was the Huffington Post. I think the Huffington Post is a good place to get your news. You can see how misleading the wording is that would make you think, oh, it's not a big deal in Colorado, when really when you look behind the data, you see how concerning it is. All right, so for those of you that are in public school or thinking about going to public school, just want to talk a little bit about the sex ed curriculum in our schools. What do you think, or who do you think is behind the sex education in our public schools? Who's writing it? Anyone take a guess? Yes.
Planned Parenthood.
How did you guess?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Planned Parenthood is behind the sex ed in our Christian school. Do you want Planned Parenthood teaching your kids about sex education?
No.
Just saying. 30% of their budget comes from what?
Abortion.
Abortions. That's right. We put together like I said, we put together this Engage the Bay State curriculum, and in here, one of the chapters deals explicitly with this. And I really do hope, no matter what state you're from, please do pick up a copy. Suggest a donation of $5, but I'm telling you, this will make the hair on the back of your neck go up, and it'll give you great wisdom in what's going on in our state. And I'm telling you, if you're from Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, wherever you're from, okay, this relates to you. So please do pick that up. There's a short video here, but I won't show it. This is just a video that comes with every chapter of the book that further defines what is in the book. This just happens to be the chapter on transgenderism, which is chapter 4, I believe. This is in the book. I don't know if any of you have seen this before or not. If you're in public school, you might have seen this, but this is a curriculum. I was just talking, I mean, we laugh, okay, but we are, let me tell you guys, we are in a war when it comes to the morality of this country, okay? And this looks, funny because it's a gingerbread man, right? Dressed up as the genderbread person, okay? But there is a clear agenda here, okay, to redefine our gender, okay? Now let's take a little closer look at this, okay? So where does your gender identity come from?
Feelings.
Your brain, okay? Your gender identity comes directly from your brain, so it has nothing to do with your anatomy. It's not even biological, okay? So that's the number one thing. Where's your orientation or your attraction comes from your heart, how you feel, right? This is being taught as low as what grade do you think? Not my son, because no, not my son, because you know. Somebody take a guess. Yes.
Preschool.
Preschool. In preschool, this is called the purple unicorn. Okay? I'm not joking. After tonight's session, go Google purple unicorn. Okay? And you'll see the same chart, just a different animal. Okay? All right, so when we look at gender identity, we teach it in public schools on what's called a spectrum. Okay? So no one is fully woman or fully man. You are a part of womanness or manness. Okay? So this says gender identity is how you in your head think about yourself. Okay? Do you think you're a woman? Do you think you're a man? Do you think you're partly woman, partly man? It's the chemistry that composes you and how you interpret what that means. Okay? So it doesn't even define it. You define it. It says whatever it means to you. Okay? Gender expression. We have here feminine and masculine. Now this gets even more insidious. Okay? Because now we're no longer talking about woman and man. We're talking about femininity and masculinity. Okay? Now how many of us let me just, from my own experience, when I was going through puberty, okay, my voice didn't change as quickly as the other guys. Okay? I was still speaking in upper registers. Okay? And I would get made fun of course, for that, okay? But do you think if I'm being taught this at my school, that I might think, wait, maybe I'm a little more feminine than I am masculine, and now I'm on the spectrum, and that's where they want me. They want me on the spectrum. Okay? This says here, gender expression is how you demonstrate your gender based on traditional gender roles through the ways you act, okay? So just think about the way you act. Maybe the way you walk, maybe the way you talk, okay? The way you dress, okay? Maybe you're walking around wearing skinny jeans. Okay, I'm just kidding. You know, or the way that you behave. Okay, maybe you hold your hand a little more. I don't know. Okay, does that mean you're more feminine? Okay, or the way that you interact. Okay, maybe you're a guy, you hang around girls more than guys. Maybe you're a girl, you hang around boys. You know, maybe you're what's the word? Tomboy. Okay, maybe you're a tomboy. This is why biblical foundation is so important.
Yes.
Okay? Because you could grow up in a Christian home, go to a government school, and start questioning your gender. Okay? And I hear about this a lot of kids that go into the school system and they do start to question. And we need to tell our kids, this is what Genesis 1:27 says. God made them male and female.
Amen.
Right? We talk about, let's go here, sexual orientation, heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual. Sexual orientation is who you are physically, spiritually. Okay, they're bringing spiritually into your sexual orientation. Well, because this is a religion for many people. And emotionally, who you're emotionally attracted to. Okay, so really starting to manipulate your feelings. Okay. So you can see how insidious this can get. This was a homework assignment in Beverly, Massachusetts. Okay? Now, here it says here, the spectrum. Our sexuality and gender identity aren't set in stone. Okay? In fact, people's identities can be fluid. The spectrum can help you visualize how you feel at any given time. Mark how you identify today. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, today, on each line, but don't feel limited. It's okay to mark something different tomorrow. Okay? All right, so let's look at this first one, biological sex. What the doctor assigned you at birth. This is what they're dealing with in North Carolina. If you read the news or heard the news about, I don't know, a few months ago, okay, that people were upset about having a rule or a law that says you must identify the gender of what your doctor gave you at birth. Okay? So you can either be male or female on that. So you see how this student put male. Okay, so this is obviously, well, not obviously, but I would say this is a boy doing this homework assignment. Okay, gender identity, how you feel on the inside, how you what? Feel on the inside. Okay, so this person feels what? Between a man and a woman, it's kind of in the middle. Okay. Gender expression, how you present yourself to others. Okay, so we talked about that, how you walk, how you talk, how you hold yourself. Okay, this person feels a little more masculine. Gender presentation, how the world sees you. Now that's dangerous, right? Because we have bullying going on in our schools, right? And the bully could just be really mean and say some things about you and be like, oh, that's how the world sees me. Okay, so in this instance, the world's seeing him as more man than woman. And then sexual orientation, who you like, and it's a boy that's attracted to girls, which is great. That's what we want, right? But can you see how messed up this is? All of these dots should be right here. Okay?
Except for the last one.
Except for the last one. Good catch. All right? Except, of course, for the last one, right? Not my son, not until about 18, 19. That's, you know, you can always be attracted to girls, but just not until 19, 20. How crazy is this? How crazy? Yes.
For what purpose do they have this at school?
It's an agenda to mess with gender and to mess with the family and to bring an atheistic worldview into your school. I mean, really, at the core, it's anti-God. Right. That's what it is. It's anti-Bible. Let me get to your questions a little later. I just want to keep going through this. I'll have a little Q&A at the end. All right, so these homework assignments were all posted in the hallway in Beverly. Okay?
With the kid's name?
No, it's anonymous. Good question. All right, but look, so we have fully female here, but who's she attracted to? Females, right? We have fully male here, but who are they attracted to? Male. Right? I don't know if there's any paper on here that would be what we'd want to see from a biblical worldview. And how many papers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. I mean 19 if you don't count that missing one. So 19 kids in this class are getting messed up about their gender. Okay? It's crazy.
The one on the left is actually attracted to women, and the one on the right is attracted to men. So it was wrong, the last one.
The last one's attracted.
The last one, it was wrong.
What, this one?
No, the last slide that you had, he wasn't attracted to women, he was attracted to men.
Oh, he was. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, so good catch. So so this is what we want. All down the same. Okay. So 2 out of 19 have a right view. That's pretty messed up.
Also, that little one in the far corner also probably is right.
Yeah, I'm sure we could analyze this too. The dog come home. I don't know if any of you saw this in Massachusetts. This was the orange bus that rolled into Boston about 2 or 3 months ago. Didn't get a ton of airtime, but I was down in Boston interviewing some people. Basically, this bus says something very controversial. It says, free speech bus, it's biology, boys are boys and always will be, girls are girls and always will be. That is very controversial. All right? I mean, if you were down on that bus, you would see how controversial that is. Okay? You can't change sex, respect all. This was just an organization that has a biblical worldview trying to make a statement, okay? Trying to get ahead of the argument, but we're so far behind it because we've been so silent to a large extent. And we need, like I said, to be a 2-minute activist, call your rep, call your senator, and say, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous to have public policy based on this kind of stuff, that's for sure. With the big orange bus, what happened in Massachusetts is that the mayor, Mayor Walsh, got so upset about this bus rolling into town. Guess what he did? He raised the transgender flag over Boston. Had a huge press conference. You know how slow the government is in doing anything? They were so quick to get 100 people out at the State House area to raise this flag. And wouldn't you know, the guy that raises the flag is a transgender guy that's part of the Massachusetts, that's part of the staff for Mayor Walsh. And this was flying over Boston after the orange bus left town. I'll get to your question. Just hold on one sec. My parents are calling me. Hold on. Can't talk. Text me later. All right. This is a video. I'll just go to this PDF here. I don't know if any of you have seen this. I mean, you have to be in public school to see this, and not every school shows this. But in Wayland, Massachusetts, they were showing this video called "Love Is All You Need." And the theme of this video, about a 16-minute video with about 25 million hits on YouTube, is to experience a world that is all homosexual and the minority is heterosexual. Okay? And they want you not only to normalize this behavior, but they also want you to understand what it must like to be a homosexual and be bullied by heterosexuals. Okay? And if you watch the movie, which I don't necessarily, I mean, it's very dark. Okay? And it's all like 12-year-old actors. This girl's the main actor. She's got hetero on her forehead because she's being bullied by the homosexuals, but they're trying to show how heteros bully homosexuals. She ends up taking her life at the end of the movie. It's very sad. And then it says it's based on, true things, but they're trying to show that Christians especially are bullies, okay? And it's just not, yes, I'm sure there are Christians that bully sometimes, but it's just not the general case. We are very loving, tolerant people, and this movie goes a long way to actually bully Christians and make you feel so isolated if you have a biblical worldview in your public school class. This is how they define transgender. It has so many different definitions. Now, outside of the umbrella is feminine women, because we don't, feminine women are outside, and masculine men. Okay, but everything else is on the inside. I won't go through this whole thing, but look, feminine men, right? So how you act, right? How you talk, how you walk, right? Trying to get you identified on this spectrum. If you're a cross-dresser, now, I assume none of you are cross-dressers. There is an actual flag for each expression, okay? So you can see here, you recognize this. Now, how many colors are in the LGBTQ flag? there's 6, right? And how many are in the regular rainbow? 7. Just think about it, okay? What tends to be the number of the devil? 6, right? So it's an intentional way of also bringing in an atheistic worldview, and then everybody else has their flag in it. These are pronouns. They're redefining pronouns, okay? Traditional masculine and traditional feminine pronouns. She left, I, her, that, she. Gender neutral now. So this is actually singular, but it's gender neutral. So instead of he or she, it's they. Okay? I, their, that, they. Does that sound a little even schizophrenic or even a little demonic, to be honest with you? When you have a multiple personality? I was down at the Orange Bus and I said to a girl, I said, I referred to her as her, and she was offended. She said, please call me they. Right? I mean, we laugh, and appropriately so, but this is at the core it's demonic, and
Yeah.
I'm not a bigot for saying that. I'm not a hater for saying that. I'm saying I care about you so much that I'm going to share the Word of God with you
Right.
that gives you the right definition of gender. That is the loving thing to do,
Right.
and do it in a loving way. If you look at statistics, 20%, there's 20% more suicide rate in transgenders than in people that identify as regular gender. Okay? All right, I have 2 minutes. I got to get through this quick. Massachusetts is trying to pass a counseling ban in the fall. This is going to go up for vote. So please, if you live in Massachusetts, call your senator, get more information from us. Christian counseling on gender will be equal to child abuse. Okay?
Oh my
You will be prosecuted under the law as a child abuser if you counsel. It's called conversion therapy. If you counsel someone away from a LGBTQ lifestyle. Even that minor who's 17 and wants to be counseled away from that lifestyle, that 17-year-old still can't either. Okay? Statistically, when you become 19, 75 to 90% of 19-year-olds actually come out of the LGBTQ into a heterosexual lifestyle as well. So they are militantly identifying 17-year-olds and saying, you cannot come out of this lifestyle. Very dangerous stuff. This is the guy behind the whole transgender agenda in his stilettos. Now we laugh, okay, but we were at this State House meeting, and guess who showed up more for who? He got more support than we did.
That is ridiculous.
Okay? Way more support.
Oh, man.
How is this guy getting more support on this issue than we are? Just ask yourself that. You can clap for that if you're going to go. These are just example recently, some drag queens in the Boston Public Library. Go ask to read your Bible in the public library. If cross-dressers are in there, you should be in there. Okay? This is just something from Westford where I live, where they're trying to jam us down our throats in the public school. Bathroom bill stuff. This guy showed up at a woman's shelter, was pulled out by the police in Boston, sued Boston, and made out with $20,000. Okay, crazy stuff. I mean, this is just insanity. This is just more stuff on the gender idea. I just don't have time to go through it. Just one more minute here. You remember when President Obama lit up the White House in the rainbow? Yeah. This was the shot heard around the world was June 26th when the U.S. Supreme Court makes gay marriage legal in all 50 states. We got to really be aware of what's going on. So this is our State House, and you have a State House. We need to get active in our State House for the sake of our kids, really, for the sake of our youth especially. Scripturally, we see all kinds of examples in Scripture. Daniel prayed when he wasn't supposed to. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego didn't bow to the king or to the idol. All kinds of examples. The apostles said we must obey God rather than men. This was us at the State House, 300 of us. Let me just tell you real quick. They said our group of 300 people was the second largest group to show up at the State House in the 2-year legislative session. What does that mean? 500 people could probably be the largest group to show up at the State House. Do you know of any churches that have 500 people in them or more? Yes, you do. One church can make a huge difference. This is us praying outside the House of Representatives. So please get involved. This is our website. Go to our website and find out more information about us. I'll leave you with this quote from I'll leave you with a quick quote from to Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King said that the church has a mandate, a prophetic mandate to define what is good and evil. And if we don't define what is good and evil in the public square, Martin Luther King says that the church becomes a social club. And how many social clubs do we have today that will not talk about this stuff? We have to talk about it, and we have to get active because our kids are at risk, and we need to strengthen and protect the family in Massachusetts. So thank you so much. Pick up one of these books, please. All right.